Ruthless One, Part 4. He had to work harder to ensure that these blacks did not get hurt no more. Their white brothers weren't caring that they slept in the worst parts of cities, in the countryside, in the West, and all over the nation. The white brothers didn't care that they didn't get the best jobs, and were only service jobs. What kept them going? Suicide is the top choice among young people now, and it's a sad statistic that Bobby felt strongly about changing. Giving a speech about a holiday that meant a lot to Bobby is something he didn't think much about before this moment. He walked up the stairs to his plane. He waved to the people before ducking inside. He was not a man to be quoted much, well, that was a lie. But his brother was more quoted than himself, and he wrote down quotes that meant a lot to him. Today was a day of commemoration for his brother's name and life in that elementary school. Perhaps it would be a start of something different in his life. He knelt his eyebrows and thought, what would he do with himself? He sat down in his chair and buckled up. This was a ride back to D.C., back to his family, and back to work. But what kind of work did Bobby want to do? He could do a lot of things with himself. He could live as a lawyer and do the lawyer thing. He could keep his job as Attorney General into Johnson's next term, and beyond, maybe. He could quit as Attorney General, become a civil rights advocate, and use his law degree in that respect. He frowned and thought hard about the possibilities. The possibilities were endless, and he just didn't know. He could disappear and become a quiet man, living off his father's money. He could retire early and do nothing for America, but that wouldn't be like himself, nor would he be happy with himself if that would happen. So what to do, he thought to himself, as they took flight. He looked out his window at the ground, as they got smaller and smaller with the distance. All the people, all the despair in the world, all the poor, all the hungry, all the dying, and all the suffering would never progress if he gave up. But what would their family, his family? Could they continue with him in politics? Could they agree to go along with him? Helping people was his focus, and that is what he taught his children. As long as they were poor, they could not stop themselves from helping others. For the poor needed helping, he thought to himself. No one could help the poor, and he is sure that despite the money they have, the American public needs to help the poor also. He had so much to do, being in charge of the Justice Department wasn't helping matters. There must be other avenues besides being Attorney General. But would his family be all right with his decision to continue on in this fashion? He knew how hard his continuance of public service was to be part of the Kennedy family. He knew how much John F. Kennedy's death hurt them to see Bobby suffer like he has been. The death of his brother has been a toll on them all. The whole family has suffered. He hasn't seen his father so guilty. He hasn't seen his mother in so much grief, and his siblings in so much loss. The whole nation was at loss. Before the family, it was the loss of a family member. He remembered losing Joseph Jr. in the blast out of the sky over Britain. When the news came, he remembered his father's reaction. It was no different except the way John was killed. Being killed was an understatement, he thought to himself. He just didn't realize everything until the moment he got that phone call. He didn't realize everything till the funeral, and he surely didn't want to believe this could happen to them at the moment it happened. The demented Oswald, who shot his brother, would go to hell for his crimes, and he would be sure his brother would be sorry for his sin and be allowed into heaven. That was his hope anyway. His hand tapped on the chair arm. He yawned as he was a tired man. He wasn't sleeping much. He was having dreams of his brother, and that caused him stress and less sleep. the dreams of all the old times, or the moment he got himself shot. He didn't get himself shot on purpose, but it wasn't an accident either. It was a planned, demented world in which Oswald lived in. How could an ex-Marine shoot the president? What did they do wrong to drive a man to shoot? How could they be stupid to think he wasn't a target? What kind of world does this world live in? And what kind of world is the world moving towards if a man can shoot out of a building to kill someone so innocent as his brother? Who was next to be shot? Himself? He thought softly to himself. Was his father to be killed? Was brother Edward be killed? He didn't want to think of the possibilities, but they were big possibilities. And as the investigation went on, the more Bobby wanted to know what happened. The FBI and CIA were working hard to find the answers to these questions.